Hey guys, today's video is not a mini tea, it is just a one topic video because this topic is kind of big and it's something that I've obviously been very vocal about on my channel. Well, someone that I've been very vocal about on my channel because I think their actions are absolutely disgusting. And I think more and more things are coming out. A matter of fact is we will never be able to burst the bubble of this person and kind of like the big cult that they've built. But whatever I can do to bring awareness to their actions, I will do because I'm just tired. I'm just tired of people like that getting a huge platform and then going around and manipulating other people and using them as pawns to get to where they need to be. I mean, it happens more than, we'd like to think. There are big corporations that function the exact same way where they will use employees to get to the top. And, it's just what happens. But if we can kind of acknowledge that that's happening and stop those people from succeeding, they'll have to find another way to do it. So we're cutting off a certain, ease of access to success. The person I'm talking about is obviously Jeffree Star, as you figured out from the title. And I know that when I put Jeffree Star in the title, there are going to be people that will click on this video purely to leave a dislike and then get out, which is fine with me. Do that. You still are giving me engagement. If you leave a hate comment, that is still engagement. And you know what YouTube really loves above all on this platform? Engagement. It is what pushes my videos out further. It is the reason why I am where I am. Engagement. So if you want to come here and you're a Jeffree Star fan and you want to leave dislikes and hate comments, then I am welcoming you to do so, because there are certain people that are Jeffree Star fans that I will never be able to persuade otherwise, and that's fine. Everyone's down to their own thing, but they are people that I will never be able to understand, and they are people that technically I just can't get myself to respect. I've had a lot of issues with certain things, and I'll kind of get into that later on in the video, and that's just more of my own personal bias towards certain people that are hanging out with Jeffree Star, and I'm going to get into all of that in this video because those people are all involved in the story. Instagram, Twitter, follow me on there. Also, second channel in the description. I'm having a lot of fun over there, so if you want to watch more me stuff, then that's where you can find that. And let's get into the video. Recently, a few people that have worked or been friends with Jeffree Star have come out with their own stories of treatment and just how they have seen Jeffree Star behave behind the scenes, which, I mean, the fact that Jeffree Star behaves so poorly on camera, but people still manage to make him sound worse behind the scenes. Imagine what you see now isn't even the worst of it. What you see in public is not the worst of it. All of that is behind the scenes. Mental. There are about 3 people that I'm going to talk about today that have come out and said something against Jeffree Star, and then I'm going to speak about some other people. So the first person is Kam Lester, who is a black boy in beauty, which is obviously an underappreciated demographic. So he obviously was I'm seeing appreciative of the fact that Jeffree Star saw some kind of a potential in him with the huge platform that he has, and he tried to, I guess, help Kam out. Matter of fact is, from what I've realized and from what I think, my opinion, this whole video is just my whole big opinion. Jeffree never does things because he sees the potential in someone or he appreciates someone. I think he does things because it will either now or in the future benefit him somehow. And getting more and more people on his side who have the potential of growing really big is good because they have a certain amount of loyalty towards you, where even if they grow to be really big on the platform, they will still have that loyalty to you, which is basically just him. I know this sounds awful, but it's essentially him grooming people into being his cult members. It is him. I'm making it sound like he's a sociopath. I mean, I'm probably not far off. He grabs onto these small channels in whatever category on YouTube or Instagram or Twitter they are, and showers them with gifts and compliments and insider tea and makes them feel really important. So any of them happen to blow up, he knows that he has them wrapped around his finger because he was the one that helped them out, and they will have that appreciation in their head and that loyalty to him to not leave him and then talk badly about him, which is why I think there are so many people that could speak out about what Jeffree has done to them, but they don't, because inside their head there's still some kind of a loyalty towards him and some kind of a feeling of I owe him. First person obviously is Kam. Like I said, I think it was Instagram stories or Snapchat stories, one of those informal ways of filming a video, and he goes over a few things. So he was in the Louis Vuitton store with Jeffree Star, and Jeffree Star says to him out of nowhere, "What do you think about James Charles?" And Kam at that point was neither here nor there about James. He kind of has spoken to James before, and James has helped him out and supported him with certain things, so he kind of felt, once again, a certain amount of loyalty, but he also wasn't a huge friend of James's. So he basically just said, I don't mind him. I don't really have any opinions on James, neither good nor bad. Him and Rich Lux drive back, I think it was to the hotel, and Rich turns to Kam and says that Jeffree was asking because he thought that while they were in the Louis Vuitton store, Kam was talking to James, which is the most petty drama coming from a 30-something-year-old. Jeffree is a grown man. Jeffree is an adult. I don't know why we're still doing this. I don't know why we're still behaving like we're in high school. But we are, and it's concerning. So, Rich Lux is the constant in these stories. He's probably the drama channel that is the closest to Jeffree Star. I mean, even recently, Rich Lux went off on Jeffree Star's ex-boyfriend Nate for selling merch during the pandemic, while Jeffree was also restocking his stuff during the pandemic. There is too much of a bias there for me to be comfortable watching his videos, and also, I don't know, I just think his past, that he hasn't necessarily apologized for, and I don't think there is any way to get to him other than, you know, if people were to, like, I don't know, cancel him over hanging out with Jeffree Star, then maybe he would have to cut himself off. But until he gets some kind of a benefit from hanging out with Jeffree Star, I think he will continue to do so, because that's your brain is wired. I think I spoke about that in my last video with Bad Baby, Danielle Bregoli, where sometimes you try to fix your behavior, but if you notice that the benefits you had from the poor behavior are dropping, you're going to go back to the bad behavior, because your brain is wired on the basis of consequences, rewards and punishments. And if you are rewarded for bad behavior, you will continue to do that bad behavior because it's what your brain understands as a good thing. I think it would be more of a bad consequence for Rich Lux to stop hanging out with Jeffree Star, because I think at this point, a lot of Rich Lux's fans are also fans of Jeffree Star. So I think that's why it's so difficult for some drama channels that were very close to Jeffree Star to now cut themselves off, because matter of fact is people align themselves with people that have similar beliefs to them, right? So like people come to my channel and they see that I don't like Jeffree Star, that I am quite critical of some people. So if they align with my beliefs of Jeffree Star and so on and so forth, they're going to subscribe to me. Now, if I was a Jeffree Star fan and I kept on speaking about Jeffree Star in a good way, people that are also fans of Jeffree Star would see my videos, align with my beliefs, and then subscribe to me. And if then at some point down the line, my opinion drastically changes on Jeffree Star, I would lose that chunk of my audience, because at that point they don't align with my beliefs and they would go away. So I think at this point, a lot of drama channels that were aligned with Jeffree Star struggle to get out of that cycle, because a lot of their fans are intertwined. Do you see where I'm going with this? It is once again a reward punishment system, just with numbers and money and views and subs. And you know, in this day and age, and also when YouTube is your job, it is very difficult to, you know, forget about that. It is our job. It is, you know, it's what pays my bills. It's basically my only source of income. So if at any point I lost views and subs because of something, obviously wouldn't be very happy about it. So I think it's very difficult for me to blame a lot of drama channels for being aligned with Jeffree Star for so long, because not only was he very manipulative with them, I'm assuming, there is also a certain chunk of their audience that would leave the moment they would change their beliefs about Jeffree Star. But that doesn't excuse the fact that they defended him for so long. I'm not saying that. It's not an excuse. It's more of a, I understand why that happened. But I wish more people now came out and kind of said what their experience with Jeffree was, because I think a lot of it would be exactly the same. I think he uses the same tactic with a lot of people. He picks very specific people. So yeah, he's never approached me. Not one message was exchanged between me and Jeffree. Not a single DM. I don't think he's ever liked my tweets or followed me. Matter of fact, he has me blocked. He's had me blocked since the Bi Sister scandal, because I questioned his involvement in the scandal. Me and him have never been friendly, and we will never be friendly because of the person that he is, and I just don't align with that. So just in case anyone thinks that I was ever on his payroll or anything like that, no, and he's literally never acknowledged my existence other than blocking me, which is the biggest acknowledgement of my existence. Kam also speaks about the fact that Shane Dawson in the hotel was venting about James Charles, like not venting, like cursing out James Charles essentially is the wording that Kam used, which now to people means that Shane Dawson was more involved than we ever thought he was. And that's where my bias comes in, right? I've been watching Shane Dawson ever since I was about like 8 years old, and he discovered me when I was on 50k subs because I made a video on him. A very positive video. Since then, we've been now and then exchanging DMs, but it was never about YouTube tea or YouTube drama. It was about personal things. Like I would come to him with like personal YouTube issues, like just advice on how to deal with different things. And yeah, we've been on very good terms, but it doesn't mean that I can't be critical of his part in this whole situation. I thoroughly enjoyed the first Jeffree Star series that he made, but I deep in my heart wish that he hadn't made it. Like I wish he had never met Jeffree Star, because I think Shane being in his own lane and not having many YouTube friends was actually very beneficial to his career. And I think it's the reason why I never really became friends with many YouTubers. I think I speak to a handful of YouTubers privately. There are YouTubers that obviously I interact with on the timeline just as a friendly, like we're colleagues at work kind of a thing. But there are only a handful of YouTubers that I'm actually close to. And yeah, I kind of wish that Shane wasn't involved, but he clearly is. And I have to speak about that regardless of my biases towards him. So Shane was also venting about James Charles, and then he says that he was scared to come out with all of this because he was scared of losing his career, which I can completely understand. Like I said, this whole thing is a rewards and punishments thing. So him looking at all of this and saying, well, I've been so heavily aligned with Jeffree Star that our fans are probably intertwined. So if I come out and say anything bad about Jeffree Star, that chunk of the audience will leave. And it's what I said about all the drama channels and Rich Lux and everyone else. Yeah, I think people are just scared of losing their careers. So then there was some Twitter drama about, I think, him coming out and saying something about Fenty, and everyone's coming for him because he's obviously a big supporter of Jeffree Star, so how can he come for Fenty? And Jeffree Star was nowhere to be seen. Jeffree Star didn't defend him publicly, even though Kam has done nothing but defend Jeffree publicly, despite Jeffree having the kind of past that he does and Kam being a black boy in beauty. So at that point, Kam says that he had distanced himself because he didn't see how that was beneficial to him anymore, and he was kind of seeing through the facade of Jeffree Star. And at that point, when he stopped defending Jeffree publicly, Jeffree found himself more black boys in beauty to replace Kam. And that to me, right, it to me shows that Kam was never a true friend. It was never someone that Jeffree respected. Kam was, I don't know how to phrase this properly without coming off as a, but I think Kam was a black boy that defended him publicly, and Jeffree liked that because whenever Jeffree was accused of racism, he could say, well, look at these black boys in beauty that are defending me. So clearly, if they're black and they're defending me, they don't think I'm racist, so it clearly means I'm not racist. I think he was using his friendships of black creators as a way to excuse his past and present racial behavior, right? Because I think many people think that if they have black friends, they can't be racist and they can't ever be called out for racism. And I think that's exactly what he was doing by bringing in, you know, that one black boy in beauty and saying, see, I have black friends, I can't be racist. Otherwise they wouldn't hang out with me. Yeah, I think that's exactly what Kam was. And then once Kam kind of stopped defending him publicly, Jeffree was like, oh, on to the next. And he went and found himself someone new. So he said that in the cremated palette promo pictures, it was Kam's ex-best friend, who's also a black boy in beauty, that was used for these promo pictures. And he at that point kind of realized, I am being replaced. And he kind of saw through, once again, the facade of fake activism, fake, you know, like, oh, I'm so supportive of the black community, but only when they support me. So he then actually got a message from, I believe, like Jeffree's employees of sorts, the ones that kind of deal with all the management and stuff, asking about if any black creators would support Jeffree, because I think he said that during the Shane Dawson collaboration, a lot of people pulled out from PR, like a lot of black creators pulled out from PR at that point because they were noticing different things that they weren't aligning with. So at that point, Jeffree was losing a lot of the creators that would use the palette so he could repost them on his socials. You know what I mean? Like he would send black creators PR, they would post about it on their social media, and then Jeffree Star could repost them and be like, look, I'm so inclusive. But if a lot of the black creators are pulling out from PR, they won't be posting with your makeup, and therefore you can't repost them on your Instagram, and then you look less inclusive. I think once again, it is using people for fake activism. Then he said that he essentially knew about Bai's sister 3 months before it happened, and he never warned James Charles, which he feels bad about now because James Charles has, you know, helped him out with things before, and he says that he could have definitely stopped it from getting as big as it did. And the fact that James Charles is still like hurt by it and still kind of dealing with that, of course it doesn't sit well with Kam to know that he could have stopped it from happening, or he could have at least stopped it from affecting James so bad, but it did, and he didn't stop him, and that's fine. I'm not like blaming him. Once again, I'm saying it's very difficult to blame these people because it's kind of like me with, I don't know, like Shane Dawson. Like I think there is a level of, oh, this big creator sees something in me, and it's very difficult to kind of distance yourself away from that when they do something bad. So that's where I'm at with that. And yeah, so he actually at the end of that clip said that he's scared of Jeffree Star, and he at some point thought that he could genuinely hire a hitman on him because he knew his address due to PR. The fact that someone would even think that or say that publicly speaks volumes about Jeffree Star. The fact that he said that he was scared of Jeffree Star because he genuinely thought that he could hire a hitman on him shows the level of manipulation and power that Jeffree has. I don't think this is normal. I don't think when I get into an argument, like when I speak about a big creator, I'm never thinking they're going to murder me. And the fact that he would say that makes me feel really icky about Jeffree Star now. Like it makes me feel like many people didn't come out because they were genuinely scared to say anything. Then there was another video that I was sent, and then it was deleted, and then it was re-uploaded. So you can find the re-uploaded version, but the original video is gone for some reason. The person deleted it. I don't even know what his name is, but he was an ex-friend / ex-employee of Jeffree Star. And he said that there were racial things that Jeffree would say behind closed doors. Even until, you know, recently, he would make a lot of edgy jokes and he would say a lot of very hurtful things to people and about people, and then excuse it with, well, they say it about themselves publicly, so I'm sure they're okay with me saying it. Like, you know, body shaming people and stuff like that. Just because someone makes a joke about themselves that's like, I guess, deprecating humor, like doesn't mean you can do it as well. That's not how that works. Anyway, so apparently the body shaming thing is about Trisha Paytas because there was a trip that she went on that she left early, and apparently Jeffree Star was body shaming Trisha Paytas. That's at least what the allegations are right now, that it was Trisha Paytas who was being body shamed by Jeffree Star. And then this morning, morning for me, I don't know what time of day it was for everyone else, but Ashlye Kyle posted a video called something along the lines of like being on Jeffree Star's payroll, which she claims from the get-go that she was never got a paycheck from Jeffree Star, like directly from Jeffree Star, but she was sent PR. And when she did receive, I guess, insider information from Jeffree Star, she was able to film videos before everyone else and get more views to them, which led to her having a really good pay month on YouTube last year during By Sister, where she made about $37,000 in 1 month. And that was because Jeffree Star would reach out to her and tell her all the information beforehand so she could get her videos ready before all the information actually came out and everyone else could film videos on it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's whoever's first gets the most views, usually. She talks about the personal relationship that she had with Jeffree Star because they exchanged phone numbers straight away, and she felt like, you know, because she was only on 80,000 subs and he was this like huge multi-million channel, she felt like there was this like personal relationship that she had with him, and it definitely led her to do and say things that she now regrets, you know, accusing James of doing things that we had no proof for, or defending Jeffree Star for doing things that she wouldn't have defended anyone else for doing. And I think that's the main thing, is like these drama channels would never defend anyone else for doing the same things that Jeffree did. But because it's Jeffree and because of that personal relationship and the manipulation, they almost just didn't notice. It's like I recently compared it to a toxic relationship. You know, when people get into toxic relationships that they then maybe possibly manage to get out of later on, and then they look back on the things they accepted and the things they've done and the things they said. They're like, this doesn't even sound like me. It doesn't even look like me. I don't know why I would ever do that. And it's like they would never do that with anyone else. But because this person was so good at manipulating them, they just gave in and they just did a lot of things that they weren't too proud of or too happy with. And I think some people just have that like way of manipulating people into doing things that they would have never done before. And I think that's what happened with most drama channels and most other content creators that still to this day publicly support Jeffree Star. I don't understand how big creators can post about Black Lives Matter and, you know, all the different things that are happening and about inclusivity and stuff, and yet still publicly support Jeffree Star, because those two things contradict each other so heavily. Like Tana Mojo posts about Black Lives Matter all the time and about how much, you know, things need to change and stuff, and then she will publicly still talk to Jeffree Star and like communicate with him on the timeline. I just don't think it's appropriate, and I just think it's a big contradiction. So she knew about By Sister before it happened, but she didn't know the details of it. Essentially, he told her, prepare for something big to happen, and then when it happened, she was like ready to go with it, whereas other people didn't expect it. So it took a bit like, it took us back a little bit, and we had to take a step back and like look at things while she was already getting her videos ready. So he would send her stuff like voice notes about what allegations are on against James Charles, mainly sexual allegations. So she was being sent all of that, and she said that she believed him without any proof because she had this personal relationship with him where she treated him like a friend. Like if a friend came to you and said something, you're gonna believe them, right? So I think Ashlye was bought in by the money, the subs, the views, and the friendship that she got from being friendly to Jeffree Star and defending him. And once she did distance herself publicly from Jeffree Star, a lot of her fans turned away from her. And I think that's something that she has to deal with. But I'm so happy that she did that and that she can now rebuild a new platform that isn't so biased. Next person is Shane Dawson. Shane Dawson hasn't spoken out about Jeffree Star throughout anything that's been happening, and it is quite upsetting to watch. I do understand that he's friends with Jeffree Star, and usually when your friends do something bad, you don't call them out publicly. Like if any of my friends did anything wrong, Twitter wouldn't be the first place I would go. But the fact that he's aligned himself so closely to Jeffree Star and then doesn't address the things like the Darby Vanity situation, it's quite upsetting to see. And I think maybe there's some contractual obligation for Shane, like where he can't talk about these things because he is still he's still selling products with Jeffree Star, and maybe there's some kind of a contract for like an amount of time signed where he, you know, is obligated to be nice to him essentially. But what we do know now is that Shane knew what was happening before it happened. He knew that Tati was going to film that video before she filmed that video. I think that's pretty clear from him cursing out James Charles publicly, like in front of people. And the fact that he filmed a video with Tati that never went out. Like they filmed a video for Tati's channel that never made it to her channel. I think once Tati filmed that By Sister video, I think it was either Shane's call or Jeffree's call to distance themselves from Tati. Because I think what happened here is Jeffree Star orchestrated the whole thing. I think Jeffree Star manipulated Tati, pushed ideas into her head to the point where she broke and thought that there was no other way to sort this out other than film a video on James Charles. So she filmed that video because Jeffree knew he couldn't film it because he's problematic. He can't call out someone else for being problematic. So he picked the most reasonable, unproblematic person he knew, Tati, to do the dirty work for him, and then he left her and is now mocking her publicly on podcasts, in interviews, in videos, etc. I think he picked himself someone that he knew he could manipulate to do what he wanted to do all along, which is ruin James Charles' career, and then he left. He dipped. He's nowhere to be seen. And I think Shane Dawson left with him. Yeah, I don't know where that collab went, where, you know, like for a while, Shane Dawson was tweeting with Tati, they were interacting on the timeline, they posted screenshots of this video that they filmed, and the video doesn't go out. And at that point, from the Bye Sister video, Shane Dawson and Tati stop interacting. It's a little bit strange to me. I'm not saying Shane Dawson's the one that orchestrated it. I think Shane Dawson is just another pawn in Jeffree Star's game. I think Jeffree Star will treat Shane Dawson the exact same way that he treats everyone else. Once he stops benefiting from Shane Dawson will get thrown out. And that's a lesson that I think every creator learns from hanging out with Jeffree Star, is that, you know, at some point you get discarded because he doesn't want you anymore. And I have to kind of distance myself in videos. As a person, I can talk to Shane, but as a creator, I have to acknowledge mistakes that Shane Dawson has made, and Tati and Jeffree and James and everyone else. So yeah, I try not to get too close to people because it does skew your judgment of them a little bit. So I think he's also being manipulated by Jeffree Star, like Tati, like Rich Lux, like Ashlye Kyle, like anyone else that's aligned themselves with Jeffree. And it's sad to see. It's sad to see someone so evil get away with so many things. My conclusion is he's a manipulator. He either showers you with gifts or he scares you into not speaking out about him. I mean, the fact that Kam said he was scared that he was going to get killed. Big creators, even if they've had a bad experience with Jeffree, will never speak on Jeffree because they're scared of losing their platform. They've seen what happened to Manny MUA, Laura Lee, and all these people that have spoken out about Jeffree Star and lost their careers for a while. And I think drama channels and, you know, mainly people like Rich Lux and Ashlye Kyle, who are so heavily intertwined with Jeffree Star, are now seeing the consequences of that because people are starting to see through Jeffree Star and they're starting to see through the drama channels that support him. I think a lot of people have gone out of that, you know, fairly quickly, like they've seen through it and they've pieced out. But a lot of people have stayed towards the end, like Rich Lux, who still to this day defends Jeffree Star, which is disappointing. I'm glad these videos are coming out. I'm not sure why the ex-friend deleted the video after like 5,000 views max, because I think it just showed a whole different side of Jeffree again, like a whole new, you know, like here's more evidence. It's not like a whole new side of Jeffree Star, but it's just expanding on what other people have already said. I believe everything they say because I think it's very clear what kind of a person Jeffree is. I think anyone can see that, but I think some people just choose not to. His fans choose not to. You know, any big creators that are still defending him choose not to because they're doing it for their own benefit. I think with a lot of his fans have spent so much time, energy, and money on him that at this point they would rather convince themselves that he's a good person than think, I wasted all this money on him and now he's turned out to be an awful human being. I think I spent a whole 25, 30 pounds on him. One time, it was like over a year ago, where I was still kind of okay with Jeffree Star, but then I found out all the things that I found out, and I bought myself a highlighter, which is, yeah, I don't even want to show it. I'm not even gonna promote his stuff. I basically bought myself a highlighter. It's a fine highlighter, but I wasted only that much, so that's fine. But yeah, I did get the PR from him, and now I almost feel uncomfortable using it. I really do. As much as I support Shane Dawson, I feel uncomfortable using that palette because it just makes me feel icky. It makes me feel icky that he made millions on millions on millions from selling those palettes, being the kind of person that he is. So that's where I'm at with everything. As like I said, this all is just my opinions. I spoke about other people's experiences and expressed my opinions on it, and that's where I'm going to leave that. So if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, comment down below, anything you can comment down below about this story and about Jeffree Star and about anything that you think about this whole situation. Subscribe, hit that bell, you'll be notified when that's happening. What? I post videos whenever something happens, so hit that bell, you'll be notified when that's happening. And social media links and second channel in the description, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.